Hello and welcome. This is the day two at ABC Conclave, and we have Naeem Aslam. So, hi, how are you?
I'm very well, and thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Great. I just heard your panel. Uh, it was about the central systems, right? Digital assets, and you're talking about the geopolitical tensions. So, let's hop on to the first question. How do you feel about the central banks' digital systems,
Digital
right? Yeah,
currencies,
digital
yes,
currencies.
yes. Like that's a great question. So, as you had the ability to listen to the panel, the main focus has been on central bank digital currencies for a long period of time, and I'm always a supporter of a more regulation from that particular perspective, and I very much think so that this is the last wild run that we had. I think in the coming year, we are going to see less this wild run, especially with respect to the meme coin, because a lot of scrutiny is coming into the area because people are getting burned. So from that particular perspective, is good. But now going back to your original question, which is CBDC, we know that now we actually have a currency in this region, which I've always been a hugely fan of, and which is backed by the currency of over here, AED. I'm talking about that. So I think there's going to be a lot of benefits from that particular perspective. In terms of transactions, they've already done the transaction. UAE already done the transaction with China. So by bypassing the traditional SWIFT banking system and then how those things were used to be controlled by an external party. So with this one, with the currency which is backed by the AED, so you could do that. I think, but the broadest value, if you are trying to bypass the SWIFT system, because anything that when it comes to the CBDC, it is still backed by what? It is backed by pretty much a fiat currency, and a lot of fiat currencies are backed by what? The United States dollar. So if you are trying to avoid the sanctions from the country, i.e. the United States or from the Western world, but the fiat currency or the stable coins, shall we say, from that particular perspective, the stable coin which was issued from here, uh, can we do it again?
We'll do the cut. We can just
Okay.
have a pause and now continue.
Okay. So we're going to start from the top again. So thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So yes, on the panel, we discussed about the stable coins and we discussed about the central bank digital currency, and more importantly, in my opinion, I think this is perhaps going to be one of the last wild west era that we would see, right? Because it is, the more scrutiny is coming from the regulators' perspective, so we are not going to see people getting burned. We will still see them, but not as much as we do, so because that window is closing very quickly. Now, in terms of a stable coin, I think that the fact that over here now we have the stable coin from which is backed by the local currency is a huge thing. The government over here, the regulators over here, they are taking the right direction in relation to the central bank digital currencies. And then again, you have a stable coin which is over here, and then you have the right environment and the regulations and laws which have been introduced over here. But in relation to stable coin, I always have one particular thing. You introduce a stable coin to have a transaction with another country in order to bypass the SWIFT system. So you are trying to bypass the SWIFT system, but your stable coin is still backed by a fiat currency, which in a lot of cases is going to be United States dollar, and then you are trying to avoid the sanctions from the United States, so how that is going to really come through. So for me, the big thing is going to be when there's going to be a CBDC and a stablecoin coming from the BRICS perspective, because then you are going into a different territory in the right direction. Because we've already heard from the BRICS perspective that they're bringing their own currency, which is going to be backed by soft commodities, by precious metals, by jewels, and few other assets within that one. So that will have a much more better value. So if the stable coin is created based on that, and central bank, like a one currency, like how we have a euro in the eurozone, is creating that will have a much better power to do that.
And also in terms of adoption, that's going to be fairly easier than other coins because you already have the system, right? If the system is already here for the existing coins, but we have the currencies by the central bank, and the user is already there, right? They don't have to switch to some different sort of technology or different sort of environment to adapt to that. They already know that it is being regulated by some good people, right? And also being backed by some the original currencies, so
Look,
it's going to be much
we,
stable.
we have come a long way from the original position, from the sandbox approaches to where we are today, right? So we have actual a stable coin which is issued over here by the backed by the local currency, and of course that is only possible when the regulators have given the green light over here. So the central bank digital concept, I think, is being gonna become even more popular, but they are taking their time, which is very important. You don't want to make mistakes because then it is a huge reputation damage and it comes with a huge liability from that perspective.
And how's the effect of the geopolitical tension? Like, is the Bitcoin going to be the only hedge, or
Yeah.
the neo coins?
This is really interesting. So I want you guys to notice something what I'm about to say. When it comes to geopolitical tensions, Bitcoin along with gold was considered as the perfect hedge, right? Because people still very much dub Bitcoin as a safe haven asset. But during the last few occasions, when the tensions increased between Israel and Iran, when the attack happened between Ukraine and Russia, and then the few of them, the immediate effect after that has been sell Bitcoin, right? Sell Bitcoin. That's been the pretty much it. So from that perspective, I think from my perspective, from my humblest perspective, Bitcoin has very much lost its value, its credential as a safe haven asset from the trading perspective, because and from the safe haven perspective, because when the news of a geopolitical tensions come into the market, you see a very clear risk of trade, and that means Bitcoin's experiences huge sell-off along with the equity market. So that particular concept, which was okay, if geopolitical tensions are anchoring in place, you don't want to be have a less belief in the cryptocurrency, sorry, in the fiat currency produced by a government, and then you should believe in the decentralized Bitcoin. I think that is getting massively dented because of this particular aspect. Because in the last few episodes, we have not seen Bitcoin moving straight off the bat of those particular news, right? So we have seen the prices falling to the downside, and this is certainly a concern.
I hope the CBDC doesn't fall in this category,
No,
right?
it won't. Yeah, no, it won't. It'll be very different. Yeah.
It would be fairly different, yes.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time. Just an ending note, do check the details of the video about and learn more about the CDBC. And also keep an eye on his insights because it's really interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, do subscribe. On Twitter, it's Naeem Aslam 23, Instagram Naeem Aslam 23, and other social medias. Do follow for more updates. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.